I could not have said this while I was homeschooling in the early years, but I actually understand now why people question it. Why do they question homeschooling? Because even in this day and age when people are doing it, we are typically the outliers. You have to ask yourself, who's the kind of person that chooses to do something that other people don't find socially or personally acceptable and comfortable? That person is you and me. And I admire you for it. And I admire me for it. It requires chutzpah. It also requires clarity. There was someone in my kids' lives who I really wanted in my corner as I was doing the homeschool thing. He was a remarkable teacher, genuinely cared for my kids, patient with them in a way that was really unique. He had the capacity to understand why something was challenging for them and to engage them in learning. And yet he never bought into what I was doing. I knew in my soul that his goals for my kids were exactly the same as mine. We both wanted the best for them. I kept hoping he'd come around, but that door stayed closed, and I didn't like it. Maybe you have someone like that in your life too. Maybe it's a family member or a friend or someone whose opinion matters to you, and they just don't get it. Or maybe it's less personal than that. Maybe it's a repeat experience of strangers in the produce section who say something as they walk by, like, put your kids in school. Or maybe that was just my experience. I doubt it. Or maybe the relative at the picnic table who asks casually, so you're not putting the kids into homeschool high school though, right? They're not directly criticizing, but you heard it, you felt it. I hear these conversations all the time. We feel criticized. We feel unsupported in our homeschool choices, in our family choices, and we feel alone in those choices. If you resonate with this episode is for you. Welcome to the Confident Homeschool Mom podcast. I'm Teresa, homeschool life coach, graduated homeschool mom, and author of the book Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. This is the podcast for the mom who looks capable on the outside, but feels scattered and unsure on the inside. I spend my days being the support, the clarifier, and the cheerleader for the woman behind the homeschool, because my work focuses inward, on you. Most homeschool overwhelm has nothing to do with curriculum choice. It has everything to do with our internal pressure, their perfectionistic tendencies, and the old stories that we continue to carry. I believe you are the most important curriculum in your homeschool. You deserve a seat at the table, too. Let's get into today's episode. Criticism is not always loud or dramatic, although some people have told me stories. Sometimes it's a raised eyebrow. Maybe it's a loaded question at Thanksgiving. A relative who quizzes your kids on the times tables with a little too much enthusiasm. Or conversational bits from people in a school or even other homeschoolers that do things differently. And they drop about what about ... We all know what that really means. It's a translation for, I'm not sure you've thought this through, or I'm concerned for your kids. A micro moment, but it lands here. And what really makes it so draining is that we think that if we just find the right words and can write that 3-point essay in our heads and somehow get it out of our mouths at the moment that they are actually saying the thing, that somehow will help them come around. Maybe we just need to explain things clearly enough or present more evidence, and yet sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes they don't come around. And building your confidence on the hope that might happen isn't a firm foundation. One of the most repeated voices that pulls us off course is the collective noise of, what do other people think? But as Lucille said, not everyone likes me, but not everybody matters. I would love to believe everyone should naturally understand and support each other's choices. But I also know the truth. Not everyone is going to get my choices or yours. And learning to make peace with that is one of the most freeing things you can do, whether you're a homeschool mom or a human doing any other sort of thing. Knowing how to handle criticism about your home education choice starts with releasing the belief that you can actually bring everyone along with you, because you really You can't. You don't owe anybody your PhD dissertation on why home education is the best thing since sliced bread. When a family member or a stranger in the produce aisle or a well-meaning friend questions your choices, consider this. They may actually simply be curious. They may be afraid for your child because they love them and they don't understand the value of what you're doing. They may never have encountered an alternative approach to conventional school. Groupthink can influence generations, and there's been a lot of schooled people. I don't know about you, but I was schooled. Most people were schooled. And even if you're a second generation or even a third generation homeschooler, which is pretty cool, I'd love to hear if you are. But even if you are those things, you still are living in a culture of school. Groupthink influences generations. I could not have said this while I was homeschooling in the early years, but I actually understand now why people question it. Why do they question homeschooling? Because even in this day and age, when people are doing it, we are typically the outliers. We are not the majority doing the thing. You have to ask yourself, who's the kind of person that chooses to do something that other people don't find socially or personally acceptable and comfortable? That person is you and me. And I admire you for it. And I admire me for it. It requires chutzpah. It also requires clarity to understand why it is you're even drawn to doing things like that. So I'm not offended when people ask me questions about it anymore. I know that it's outside the norm, so of course they're going to be curious. I'm likely to just say that I enjoy being with my kids because I really do, even now that they're grown. I might like it more. I enjoy learning with them. Still, I enjoy learning with them. I'm presently learning Spanish with a few of them, as I welcome Spanish-speaking family members into our family. And I love this remarkable lifestyle that enables so many amazing memories. I have no regrets. So I think a calm, kind, straightforward response is enough to people's questioning or criticisms. So try something like, here's what I've learned about this choice and what I want you to know. Answer their questions directly. You can stay grounded inside. You're just answering a question because they're curious. And then you get to go home and enjoy this life. You don't need to try to win someone over or get them to not express their concerns or criticisms. And for the family member who insists on quizzing your kids, you can maybe kindly redirect them to them and ask them if they can answer it. Okay, I'm being sassy. And if your child absolutely nails it and answers chef's kiss perfectly, let them have the moment and then casually mention that moment at every family dinner for the next 4 to 5 years. You're welcome. You deserve it. I don't think the goal is to get everyone on board. I mean, you literally can't with any of your life choices ever. The goal is to live in integrity and alignment, to make choices based on what you genuinely believe is right for you and your family, not based on what other people think. When you live outwardly, constantly asking what will they think, instead of what do I actually believe and what do I want, you absorb the cost of that. You'll feel frustrated and defensive, and you won't feel like you're living an intentional life. But when you get clear on your own convictions, that's when something shifts. You stop writing the 3-point persuasive essay in your head every time someone comments. You stop needing to make them wrong so you can feel right. And you become genuinely curious about other people's perspectives because you're no longer threatened by them. Confidence and clarity and intention, that's not reactive and it's not defensive. Confidence is living in your own life and minding your own business. When you're stuck in that cycle of defending and explaining and justifying yourself, it's probably a sign that you need to address something internally to become more clear as to why you're doing what you're doing. I created a free 5-minute quiz called What's Really Driving Your Homeschool Overwhelm. That quiz walks you through 8 key areas of your homeschool life: emotional load, identity and self-trust, your capacity and energy, your relationships and connection, your mental clarity, boundaries, your purpose and your vision, and your joy and fulfillment. In just 5 minutes, you're going to get a clear picture of where you're thriving, where you feel stretched too thin, and what's calling for your care. You'll find the link to that quiz in the show notes. And if you've never felt like you're doing so much but losing sight of how you're really doing, this quiz is made for you. Sometimes the criticism comes from someone you really wanted in your corner, and I get that. A family member that you might have hoped would get it and really support you in what you're doing just doesn't. And I think there's a grief that comes with that, a feeling of loss in that. It might hurt, but at the same time, spending your energy trying to convince someone who isn't listening, that's costing you. Accepting the reality of a relationship as it is not giving up. It is your clarity. Brené Brown, author of Daring Greatly and Rising Strong, puts it this way: the most boundaried person is the most compassionate person. Before you invest energy trying to be understood by someone, ask yourself honestly, does this person have the capacity to hold a differing opinion without steamrolling yours? How have they already shown up for you? If they're not really listening, you have your answer. And if you're well past your first year and beyond frustrated with this storyline in your life, there is a next step for you. Book your free aligned homeschool reset session with me, and we'll get you out of the spin cycle of what do other people think, what do other people think, what do other people think, and back to the most intentional, aligned version of you. You'll find the link to the aligned homeschool reset session below. Learning how to handle criticism about homeschooling or anything else is ultimately less about what you say to others and more about what you believe about yourself. I want to leave you with a picture of what this life actually looks like when you're living it from that place of alignment. This past week, we had international visitors at our home for a family wedding, and I got to spend time with my son-in-law's 10-year-old niece. She's a big city kid, not exposed to this rural life. We read together. We had tea together. I taught her how to tell time on a conventional clock. We talked about moths and butterflies, their habitats, why they chose particular climates. We picked strawberries and rhubarb in the garden. I taught her how to make a parfait, and my daughter, her new aunt, taught her how to make a strawberry rhubarb pie. The first time she'd ever eaten one, let alone made one. That is what this life is. That is what we do. And I'm reminded over and over how beautiful this life really is. Henry David Thoreau said this: if a man or a woman does not keep pace with his or her companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears. Girlfriend, you are stepping to your own music. That is not a problem. That is the entire point of this homeschool journey. The more you practice living from integrity and alignment, the less you'll be preoccupied with what other people think. You'll become clearer in your convictions, more curious about others' perspectives, and far less threatened by them. I genuinely want to live a purposeful life, and I want to enable my kids to do so too. And I believe you do too. That's why you're here. And I can almost guarantee you that if you keep moving in the direction of the truest, most aligned you, moving towards your internal values, you will get there. Thanks for joining me today. Did you fold the laundry basket that's been sitting at the end of your bed for a week? Did you polish the silver? Just kidding. Don't polish the silver unless you're having a family wedding like we did. I still didn't polish the silver. I'd love to hear how this episode landed for you. Shoot me a message on socials, or better yet, share your thoughts in a podcast review wherever you listen to this episode. I want to remind you, you matter in your homeschool life, not just as the home educator, the planner, the one who holds it all together, but as a whole person with needs and desires and a life worth nurturing. Every small choice you make toward alignment actually changes the atmosphere in your home, with your kids, and in yourself. You don't have to overhaul everything. You just have to take one honest step toward alignment. And that's what we do here on the Confident Homeschool Mom podcast. If today's episode resonated, would you please hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next? And if you know another homeschool mom who might resonate with today's conversation, share this with her. It might be exactly what she needs today. We'll see you next week.